Hey guys, just wanted to walk through the directions for our activity this week. We're basically looking at what the government is trying to do to kind of tap the brakes on the economy downturn right now through the $2 trillion CARES package that was passed a few weeks ago. Um, so the way we're going to do this, it's kind of different this week. We're not going to be doing any notes, but I am going to have you guys be tracking some ideas in your notebook while we listen to about an hour-long Freakonomics podcast where they interview 7 different economists and or maybe it's 6 economists and 1 congressperson on their thoughts on the CARE package. So basically, all the directions are in Classroom here. If you open up the Google slide, you'll see this video walking you through the directions, but also some written directions as well. Basically, what I want you guys to do is be sure that you are tracking these questions and some of the individuals that are being interviewed in the podcast. So these are the questions that I want you to kind of track. Do you think this CARES package is actually going to work? What are some of its best and worst features? Where does the $2 trillion come from? What are some of the long-term effects of the government spending all of this money? And then if you can provide a quote from one of the 7 individuals that you agree with or that resonated with you, and try to draw in a direct quote or refer to the quote within your answer. Now, the 7 people that are being interviewed are all on this slide here. So it might be a good idea when you listen to the podcast that you have this slide up and you can just kind of see who these individuals are. You'll hear from people that are Republicans and have served under Republican administration. You'll also hear from Democrats. So there's going to be differing viewpoints as you're listening to this. And just a little fun fact, I also linked out everyone's Wikipedia article. If you click on those links, it'll open it up. So if you want to learn a little bit more as you're listening, or if you want to pause and say, hey, who is this person, and why are they important? Why should I be listening to them? You can kind of open up the Wikipedia article there. So there are people who served under Trump. There are people who have served under Obama. There are people who served under, I think, George W. Bush. And there are people who are in Congress right now as well. The podcast is right here. It's a Freakonomics podcast. It is roughly an hour. You might want to break it up over 2 days. Give yourself a break. And then there again are the questions. Okay. When you're done with the podcast, you'll want to come into Google Classroom and open up this assignment sheet here. And you're just basically answering the questions. Do you think the CARES Act will actually work in helping the economy? What are some of the best and worst features? You can do some outside research if you want, if the podcast doesn't give you enough information. Where does the $2 trillion come from? Where are the long-term effects of all that government spending? So you just type in your answers there, okay? And then go ahead and submit that once you have all your answers done. The other part of this is I do want you guys to provide a direct quote from one of the 7 people in the podcast that you agree with, and this will go into a discussion board post. That's all right here. It should take you under 30 minutes. Provide a quote from one of the 7 individuals in the podcast that you agreed with. Why did you agree? Looking for several sentences, maybe a short paragraph answer there, and then reply to at least 2 other students. Likewise, in this assignment, probably for each of your answers, a short paragraph in your answer, but I'm always looking for kind of that reason why and, direct reference back to the podcast. So that's all that we have for this week. We're essentially wrapping up this unit on money, banks, taxes, and the government. by looking at something that the government is doing right now to try and manage the economy. We'll start up a new unit next week. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I will be still doing my Google Meet Hangout where we just kind of check in with each other on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. All right, have a great week.